Have we discussed this part of the yesterday's newspaper? No, right? We stopped at the editorials. So these two are more or less very important for internal security point of view. Again, for mains, normally also Maoism, Naxalism is an evergreen topic. Thanks to this particular unfortunate event, it has become evergreen again. So that means revival of this particular topic has been done. Both Naga issue and the Maoism. You can link it to multiple parts of your syllabus copy, either internal security or you can talk about social issues. Then you can also link it to post-independence consolidation. So Naga issue is from last 70 years. Naxalism is almost from last 60 years. So all these are legacy issues. Now, what is the major thing that is happening? Maoists were encountered. Yes, that was the last option. It happened because of a combing and information gathering. Now, what is the most obvious reaction, or what will be the most obvious reaction of all these things? There will be some human right violation issues. Okay, people will claim that they were encountered, fake encounters, so on and so forth might come into the picture. Then retaliation by the Maoists is also one thing that they must have, right? Again, see, combing operation means you are just going through the forest step by step. Once the Naxalite starts noticing you, they will attack you. So according to this particular article, there were more than 100 Maoists and around 26 were killed, means the rest of them have escaped. And this particular leader, right, he's supposed to Milind Tumble, I guess, right? So he is always moving with a huge support or huge armament team. That is a lot of problem. Now, luckily, no major casualties are received on the police side or the government side. That is a good thing. And civilians were also not involved. Now, the long-term ramification is the questions like, is Maoism still relevant to the 21st century? How can we eliminate Maoism in totality? Or what are the steps taken by government for eradication of Maoism? How is development an antidote to Maoism? These can be discussed. Or what is Project Samadhan? Project Samadhan. So it's Project Samadhan is a scheme for removal of left-wing extremism from the country. Few weeks ago, we have seen an article in Hindu also, right? Amit Shah has said the red corridor has shrunk. The size of the red corridor is coming down. What? It is Samadhan doctrine. Okay. So again, winning hearts and minds is the long-term solution. That's the only way forward. If you see on the right-hand side, this is also internal security. Manipur ambush by Naga outfit. The demand of Naga outfits are greater Naga limb. The demand for Naga outfits are greater Naga limb. There are also valley-based insurgent groups. This is a traditional threat for internal security of India. Valley-based insurgent groups, either in Jammu and Kashmir or in the northeast region. Government is in continuous negotiations with other groups like NSC and IM. Naga Socialist, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, ISAC, and Mugaya or Kaplang. All these are various groups with which government is in negotiation. As I told you, instruments become institutions. So these groups are created for getting separate Naga limb. Okay, then government started negotiating with you. You will go for ceasefire, arms surrendering, and all those things. Nagaland is the only place in the country where armed groups like parallel armies are running in the country. They have around 2,000 cadre with weapons. They roam in the streets. They're just like, an Naxal group in open. Okay. Unfortunately, what is happening is, let's say I'm government, I'm discussing with NSC and IM, this person, you are Kaplang, you are some other group. All of you are agreeing that, okay, we will peacefully surrender the weapons, we will join the mainstream country, and Nagaland demand is more or less given up. But tomorrow he will come and say, I'm the new leader of Naga people. We only want Nagalim. I am not going to compromise on that demand. Is Nagalim possible in today's world? No. Why? Some part of is it in different states. Manipur and other states are involved, and another country, Mizoram. Some territory of Nagaland comes under Mizoram. So okay, my country, my land, I will give you Nagaland. Why will Myanmar country, Myanmar give up the land? Okay, so the Nagaland demand is more or less dead. Right? You cannot have a separate entity. We have asymmetrical federalism. I'm giving you Naga tribal councils. I have given you a lot of freedom to grow, but still the old demands are not going to work out. So why are these new groups rising? Because when the old guard dies down, that means when the old groups become weak or start talking with the government, these groups start demanding money. So now that they have done this, they are the real villains in the eyes of the people. So they will go and start demanding the grease money. So if you want to do some construction, if you want some protection in that particular area, you should pay money to these groups. Okay. So like this, it has become a Narega scheme for these outfits. Yes or no? The one with the gun is going to get the money. So there won't be any permanent solution. That is why they are instigating the government of India, right? And if government retaliates, if government sends troops to cleanse this or to remove this threat, what will happen? Unfortunately, 1 or 2 collateral damage will happen. 1 or 2 innocents might also die. Then these groups will say, see, the Indian government is not having the interest of these people, and we are the real protectors of Nagaland. So like these kind of issues might come up. Both are very important for internal security point of view. So yesterday, the same Maoist ideology. What does Maoism mean? They want to overthrow the state. They don't believe in the sovereignty. They don't believe in the constitution of India. These outfits also don't believe in the constitution of India. They want to have their own sovereignty. They want to have their own right to self-determination. So all these are separatist movements. GS paper 1, you can see the syllabus copy, security threats also, right? If you remember, there used to be some articles in between, like last 2 to 3 months. N. Ravi. There is a guy called as N. Ravi. Naga groups asked to sack him. So such soft news used to appear in the newspapers. He was the interlocutor of this Naga issue. He was the bridge between government of India and the Naga groups. N. Ravi. He was a governor also then, right? Later he was made governor. They wanted to have separate flag. Just think about government of India's predicament. You are removing flag in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, now the Naga groups are demanding their own flags. You cannot have 2 kinds of systems in the country, right? Asymmetrical federalism within the Indian pocket is the only thing. The every small tiny concession I give you in asymmetrical federalism have a potential to go for separatism. Clear? Next. Communal violence. Amravati in Maharashtra is the latest example. I think today some BJP leaders are arrested in relation to the same. A BJP ex-MLA, someone was arrested because he instigated the communal violence. We will discuss about this article in relation to Article 19(1) and also linked to communalism. Those 2 people have covered people who suffer from communalism. So we'll see how the whole story develops, right? Rather than rushing in. This is a prelims question.
Yes, sir.
Kaiser-e-Hind is Arunachal Pradesh state butterfly. Is it the first state to have a state butterfly? Any idea? Prelims questions. Is there a prelims question in recent times related to butterflies? In last 5-6 years. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, many states have state butterflies, and UPSC have asked a question in 2016 or 17 related to butterfly. So automatically this topic becomes important. Yes, Kaiser-e-Hind is a state butterfly. You also have to remember How many schedules are there in the Wildlife Protection Act? Schedule 2 and Schedule 1. What is the specialty of Schedule 6? Schedule 6 is plants. Sure. Not warming.
And there was a news on
So that is why they have asked for that question.
in 2016, Nanak was a and in that movie that is butterfly effect.
You know, the problem is, you know, it's exactly the people, right? They assume WhatsApp is the creator of knowledge in the society, right? Chaos theory was given decades ago. Nanak Premata was ever made. Okay, it's the butterfly effect. It's called as chaos theory. It's called as chaos theory. That means the flap of a butterfly wing will create tsunami elsewhere. That is called as chaos theory. Decades ago, before Nanak Premata was ever made. So okay. Now coming back to the important useful discussion, Pakke Tiger Reserve is in Arunachal Pradesh. See, all these are prelims questions, so please focus enough on the basics. Okay. Now we will move on to some other important discussion. GS paper 1 society based questions divides between haves and have-nots have remain the same. Chief Justice of India critically analyze. Do you think that inequality has increased? See, the moment you hear such terms, it's about inequality, right?
Yes.
Inequality. Or you can see that Shivaji movie, the rich are getting rich, the poor are getting poor. Okay, the same theories. Divides between haves and have-nots have remained the same. So how will you decide who is a have and who is a have-not? Next, what are some technical terms that are supposed to come to your mind? How do you measure have and have-nots?
Poverty line.
One is below poverty line. This is official India's stand. Then you have Human Development Index. Then multidimensional poverty index. Yes. Next is you can take Oxfam or other reports which says how many people are in or how is the wealth distributed in the country. Wealth distribution. Okay. So like this, every such topic is an opportunity for you to understand why the Indian state is called as a welfare state. Why the Indian state is called as a welfare state? What are the steps taken by the Indian government? What are the steps taken by the Indian government to improve the life of the people? You can start your thinking from constitutional point of view. Is it responsibility of the state to bridge the gap between haves and have-nots?
Sir, DPSP.
DPSPs are there, fundamental rights are there, right to life, right to food, right to life with dignity. Yes or no? If I'm sleeping under a footpath or a flyover, or if I'm sleeping on the side of the footpath, all these are life to dignity. All these are antithesis to life with dignity. So I have to provide them basic amenities. Health, that is a basic amenity. Then what are the reasons for haves becoming haves and have-nots becoming have-nots? How are we reinforcing all these things? Then each and every government scheme you think about, okay, is actually trying to reduce the burden of the have-nots. Yes or no? So is it a present problem or is it a legacy problem?
It's a legacy problem.
It's a legacy problem, right? From independence all the way till 2021, we are still seeing poverty. So that's a huge problem. From Indira Gandhi Garibi Hatao all the way till Sabke Saath Sabka Vikas Sabka Vishwas. We are saying the same thing. We need inclusive growth. But according to Thomas Piketty and others, they have clearly established that inequality is on rise. 1% of Indians own, the top 1% of Indians own
97% of
74, I think some 70% of wealth according to Oxfam latest reports. Okay, inequalities are very, very high in this country. So you get a discussion. Then he says one very interesting thing. Poverty is a misfortune for which the law cannot take any responsibility at all. I humbly like to disagree with that. Law also has a lot of role to play. It creates a vicious cycle of poverty. under trials and all those things. You can link the dots.
So, Oxfam, HDI, below poverty, and any other GHI is hunger. Like
That also tells you haves and have nots, right?
okay. Multi-dimensional poverty.
Next, this can be an essay topic. There can be no real freedom without economic freedom. There can be no real freedom without economic freedom. UPSC has asked this in multiple ways. There can be no social justice without economic justice.
Yes.
Social prosperity cannot happen without economic prosperity. It will bore you to death. The same concepts. Okay. There can be no real freedom without economic freedom. Okay. But Ambedkar's quote, 26 January 1950, I guess.
Yes, sir. It's there in NCERT.
What does the quote say? We are giving people with political equality, but not social and economic equality. Without social and economic equality, we are entering into a world of contradictions.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? We are entering into a world of contradictions. So that is also something we have to notice. So not only economic freedom, but we also need social freedom. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Critically analyze. So like this, you have to keep thinking more and more. I have money, but I'm still labeled as a Dalit or as a tribal or as a marginalized sections of the society. I cannot have the full potential to grow. That is where we bring in Amartya Sen's capability approach. It's like giving a woman a license, but not allowing her to drive the car. Yes or no? Capability approach means you are empowering someone and you are also allowing them to live up to their full potential. You are allowing people to make money, but you are allowing communalization or ghettoization. Then I cannot freely exercise my freedoms in this country. Then am I living up to my full potential? No. Clear? So like this, multiple topics have to be interlinked. Clear? What is Joint Parliamentary Committee?
A parliamentary committee which comprises of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Strength is?
Strength, I'm sure. I'm not sure. Yes.
This is one more article about non-communicable diseases. I think the keyword in this particular article is city diseases. I think city only, right? What is the term? City lifestyle. Same non-communicable diseases. What are non-communicable diseases? Diseases which cannot be transmitted, right? Lifestyle diseases, non-communicable. That means because of our dietary habits, if you see cities, what are we doing? City lifestyle. We have pollution, smoking, junk food, a lack of proper exercise, busy lifestyles. We have all the bad habits that a man need to have. So that is because of city lifestyle. At least in villages, we have some kind of advantages. But in city, we are surrounded everywhere with things which will increase our body mass index and lead to diabetes. Diabetes is also a silent killer. Millions and millions of Indians are suffering because of diabetes. And the ramifications are COVID pandemic. Comorbidities have killed more people than COVID itself, right? COVID did not kill people directly. It's the comorbidities that have killed the people. So Indian Medical Association is asking that people with diabetes should be having the vaccination first. So government is trying to promote such kind of thought process. So that is something for your non-communicable diseases facts. The percentage is only going to increase. Yes. So how can we reduce non-communicable diseases?
Healthy lifestyle. From there are different steps. Like, Fit India movement.
Fit India, yoga, right? Surya Namaskars, going to the traditional, vlogging. You can do all these activities. Developing urban infrastructure in ways where it will promote healthy lifestyles is also a important thing. Cycling tracks, will that promote healthy lifestyles? Do we have cycling tracks in Hyderabad? I think in Gachibowli area, they have developed these cycling tracks. So healthy lifestyle and infrastructure design both should go hand in hand. That will also reduce the non-communicable diseases. This is one more nice example on how youth or education can help the sustainable livelihood in the country. What is this? IIT Delhi is having a program called as Rural Technology Action Group. Okay, so what does IIT Delhi do? The students from that particular institute will tie up with the rural artisans or rural craft makers, and they will upgrade the designs of these people. For example, potters. Okay, so they have designed a new kind of machine or the particular pot making instrument, okay, which will reduce the pollution and also improve the quality of pots, the quality of pots. So if you read this particular article, so there is normally, if you go by traditional methods without any upskilling and reskilling, you are having a 25% loss. But through this method, you can save that amount, and also it will reduce pollution. Our inputs can also be reduced. So technology working for the welfare of the people. That is the ultimate goal of education, right? And IITs and IIMs are not only for the well-off or for software, but the same institutes can also be useful in upgrading the rural lifestyles. So I find this is a very good example for your GS paper. To governance also you can write it. You can also write it in innovation, how technology will help the rural India. Yes. Yeah. So again, say most of the times these traditional handcraft makers or farmers don't upgrade their skills, or they don't use the latest technology available. Their skill is theirs, but the tools they use can be modified according to the latest trends. So use such things on how youth are helping the society, or how education can help the society. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So we'll come to today's articles. Here is one more interesting article for essay. Our society also. Yes. What is referendum? What is referendum? Explain.
Directly vote in the decision-making process.
When are referendums normally used? When is the last time you have heard the term referendum? NCRT.
In India, it is not used.
It is an election process
Mhm.
to eliminate a candidate.
So in India, it is not majorly used.
India it is not majorly used, but
Switzerland.
is Brexit a referendum?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is Brexit a
Referendum.
referendum? So when are referendums used?
To seek people's opinion
Directly.
when there is a binary choice.
Referendums are by default binary choice, right? Yes or no.
Yes.
Either you need, but breaking down everything into yes or no is a very wrong approach.
Yes, sir.
That is what
People
happened.
want something, but government is not doing it.
Okay, so you don't have that. Referendum normally is applied in the say in joining something or withdrawing from something, macro things. Okay, but here in this context, there is a Rajasthan Excise Act which says that license can be revoked. License can be revoked for liquor shops. Okay, then people went and vote for that particular thing, and they overwhelmingly voted for removal of the licenses. So 2 villages in in Rajasthan now will be having no liquor or no liquor licenses thanks to people's participation. Perfect example for democracy,
Yes, sir.
right? People's choices are being respected within policy making also. Okay. Now, isn't it a problematic scenario? It's good. Small issues. Okay. If we apply this to the rest of the country, what will happen? It's impossible for what? Economy will collapse if people don't have alcohol.
People don't have that much awareness about
People don't have that much awareness about.
technical issues. Like
Mhm,
if
mhm.
we vote on youth.
So purely only on alcohol or license, not about the other things. People should not be given power. That is why we have bureaucracy, right? That is why we need IAS officer. Right to profession will be denied. Okay. But again, it's a social contract, right? You are a part and parcel of the society. You lose some, you gain some. It's the same society which gave you in the first place the opportunity to have your livelihood.
So the finances of the states will be in threat.
Finances of the states will be in threat. This will lead to fiscal federalism, ramifications of fiscal federalism. Okay. Right. But I found it really interesting because the front, obviously the spearheaders of this particular issue will be women, and women came in huge numbers to vote. So that will actually tell you at the ground level how much alcohol is destroying the families and societies, at least in the rural areas. So if women are coming overwhelmingly in such huge numbers to vote, that tells you that there is a real problem because of alcoholism. So maybe behavioral change, awareness campaigns. Okay. Right. Then what else is there? I think Smiley converted into Joy. No. What happens is, see, so this is kind of extreme, right? Like total cancellation is a problematic scenario. Why? Imagine there's a very powerful person in that particular area, someone associated with MLA or MP. He started this illicit liquor now. Hooch tragedies might happen. Next, smuggling. It's not like you're banning in the entire state, right? You're banning only in the immediate villages. So I can get the alcohol from the nearby village. So WhatsApp groups, universities will in the same way. 6 p.m. Chalo mil jate hai agle gaon. Okay. We used to have slogans, right? Chalo Delhi. Chalo Delhi, right? In the same way, people at 6 p.m. will come together and say, Chalo, next gaon. Yes, walking is good for health. Fit India. Then they get the chance to drink alcohol. So again, this is not a long-term solution. So what you should try and explore this option. I'm not against this option, but the thing is, if you're really interested as an administration, as a government here, okay, you should set up camps, rehabilitation camps, or behavioral changing methods should be invested, at least tried. Okay, I'm not saying it is going to succeed, but at least we should have to try. Then people might understand how alcoholism is hurting their families. Then people might change. Yes or no? So this is one way to look at the things. Either you ban it in all the country, right? Or you don't ban. There are only two ways. There is a golden middle path of Buddha, right? Mitam amritam, amitam visham. Anything done in moderation is a okay thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, it's a okay thing. But anything extra is bad. People are normally do extra. That is why all these problems are there. Yes, excess of anything is danger, except knowledge. No? The only thing, what happens, the more you learn, you realize the less you know. So you'll become humble. No? If it happens. Pegasus inquiry must reverse the chilling effect. What is chilling effect? Is there case, isn't there a social taboo against, in the case, isn't there a social taboo against alcohol? So that social taboo has more or less moved, right? People are no longer interested in what others will think, or kind of social ostracization is not working in the society. That is why alcoholism is very prevalent. So that's one way to look at the things. Pegasus inquiry must reverse the chilling effect. We will discuss that case. We will see how it goes. Now, what is chilling effect? See, this article is written by Sridhara Chargulu. So it's a, I have my own suspicions on the vested interest of this particular article. Why this article is written at this particular time? It also sounds like a bhajan to Chief Justice Ramana. Okay, so I have a lot of things running in my mind, but we'll discuss it purely from the merit point of view. No new value addition is being done, but done by this article. Why? We all know right to privacy is a sacrosanct thing. What are the 4 steps or 4 tests that have been introduced in Puttaswamy versus Union of India case? Why violation of privacy should be the last option, and it should be done in a proportionate way. It should not be excessive. Other ways have to be tested, but government of India is very silent on all these things, and it is saying one thing and one term only, that is national security. I have discussed the same aspects, right? If I am government of India, I will never publicize that I have Pegasus. Yes or no? It's the last thing I will do. Even if tomorrow I am purchasing something better than Pegasus, why will I tell people that I have Pegasus? They will take extraordinary precautions. So if you have time, apart from UPSC studies, there is a wonderful TV series called as The Wire. The Wire. Okay, I think it's 1990s. It's one of the best TV series ever made. The simple thing is, in season 1, Wire, the name Wire tells you it's phone tapping, right? Once people start tapping their phones and the criminals understand that phones are being tapped, they will stop talking over phones. They will move on to face-to-face communication. Every day, they create a hierarchy, and only the boss and the next leader will meet in face-to-face. No communications whatsoever through phones. So if I know that Pegasus is true as a terrorist or as an anti-national or as some other threat, okay, don't you think I will also get very smart? I will try not to do things in online fashion. I will probably have a offline meeting. So the more people get used to all these things, the smarter they will become. They will also create airtight proof rooms.
Yes, sir.
So no, bug-free rooms.
Yes.
Okay, you cannot allow any technological device whatsoever in that particular room. Zero technology room, Faraday cages. Okay, so there are a lot of ways on how I can use the countermeasures to such kind of prevailing technologies. Now, the concept being, state have its own version. There is definitely some misuse and abuse of Pegasus software. Somebody has done something wrong somewhere, and that has to come out in a democracy. There is no excuse behind national security, right? So again, I don't want to spend too much time on that particular article. Right. This is, I'm not sure how we can use this in UPSC, but we have to understand the importance of ecosystem. How each and every plant, animal, insect has a role in the society or ecosystem. If one thing is affected, a lot of things will be affected. A humble honeybee is a good pollinator.
Yes.
Yes or no? If we don't have honeybees, that will increase the economic cost of pollination. In the same way, bats also have a lot of important role, like pest control. Yes, it controls a lot of pests. It eats a lot of insects which are harmful to the crops. Okay, so it is actually friend to the farmer. Now, what they are trying to tell us is, due to increase in man-animal conflict or interaction, things have changed. Yes, and probably that is the reason why bats are under a lot of stress, and being a host to the virus, they are actually creating new hurdles or new issues to the humans. So how should we deal with this particular scenario is what they are trying to discuss. The one interesting thing in this entire article is on how a particular tribe, this tribe in Nagaland, is having interaction with the bats. Okay, they have annual bat harvest for many years. So that is something interesting, right? So if you see in Kerala recently, either Nipah outbreak is because of bats. We also have suspicions about COVID from bats. So there is a linkage to a lot of zoonotic diseases and bats. So this in that particular line of thought, this theory comes in a whole new light on how we can coexist with the bats and why we need to create proper ecosystems for the bats. Not only in India, throughout the world. If the more we integrate with the bats, the higher the chances of zoonotic diseases. Okay, so we should be very careful. Yes or no? Is it really possible?
We cannot realize if it is considered factor.
Not this, the long-term solutions. See, bats have viruses which we don't know that exist, right? We are not even aware of all the kinds of diseases that bats have the potential to carry. We have seen just Nipah and COVID, probably, right? We are not even aware of the next thing that is going to come out. Okay, so how do we make sure that human-animal conflict is less? How do we make sure the interaction with bats is very healthy rather than dangerous?
I think that for instance land use practices. Reducing the habitat destruction. Like green infrastructure.
So do you think all these things are possible? That's
Green
my question.
infrastructure is kind of possible, but land use is recently India's denial of not signing the deforestation pact
Deforestation. Okay.
is still makes it.
But we have 33% target of our own, right? We don't have to promise anything. We will do it anyhow.
But still, as we discussed, we are all aware of the definition of forest. So
We must use One Health approach. Okay. So that's one. Again, what will One Health approach? Are we even going in that particular direction? See, first of all, we need to understand and appreciate the importance or impact these animals, insects, and other things are doing to the ecosystem. We need to understand that how that symbiotic relations are very, very important. Only then we will start respecting them. As long as we don't understand the symbiotic relations, we keep destructing the things as quickly as possible. That will have long-term ramifications. If you take diseases emerging from Africa or any other country, almost all of them are because of man-animal conflict. Swine flu, man-animal conflict, right? Recently, some other monovirus or some other virus, right? Right? It's again from proud Kerala. Yes, from a veterinary college in Kerala. It shows that we are going to see more and more of these kind of diseases. As a whole, we have to understand and appreciate the ecosystems, how delicate, how fragile the ecosystems are. The more you tinker, the longer your problems will be. Next. Two things, it's a 50-50 article. Either it's really important or totally useless. Okay. EU's role in Indo-Pacific. This is something that has been bothering us, right? Why is European Union or why are European countries so interested in Indo-Pacific? They don't have any direct interest whatsoever. Yes. So this can be a JS paper 2 question.
yes,
For mains. What is the role of European Union in Indo-Pacific? So chances are UPSC might bury it or celebrate it. AUKUS. If you see AUKUS, Europe, England has or Britain has joined the AUKUS. UK, US, and Australia. Those three are coming together. On the other hand, if you see Belt and Road Initiative, One Belt, One Road. Okay. There also China is having a lot of trade with European countries. So the article writer is also saying the two things, right? Same two things. There is a contradiction within the European Union. Some countries are very happy with the China. They think China is an opportunity. The other thinks China is a threat. Okay, and they don't have unity among themselves. Britain gave a snub to France. Yes or no? Britain offended France during the AUKUS deal, and France, Germany, Britain, all these countries want some share in Indo-Pacific region. So, what is the core interest? There is a European Union's Indo-Pacific strategy. They have announced this strategy. They want to have a larger role in Indo-Pacific region. So, should we look it from purely traditional terms, like let's say trade? The stronger the Indo-Pacific region, the better the trade for everyone.
Yes.
European Union is also one of them. You must have seen laris, right? Andaru baundali dantlo manam undali. Yes, lari slogans like everybody should be good. I should be also among that. So if Indo-Pacific region is doing well, sorry? So if Indo-Pacific region is doing well, behind the laris there will write slogans, right? Sound horn or something like that. So in the same way, they write idioms sometimes. It says like everybody should be good. I should be among the everybody. I hope you understand, right? Like so that's the summary. So it makes more sense if you read it in Telugu. I don't know. Probably there is a Malayalam equivalent because all of us are classical languages, right? Lot of idioms are there in Malayalam also. Sabka saath, sabka vikas. So that's a simple summary, right? Okay. So yes. Now coming back to the European Union's role. Okay. So what are the advantages for European Union by joining in the Indo-Pacific hunt? Mineral exploration, trade. Yes. Above all, trade is the biggest thing. Why? European Union wants to trade with Australia, Indonesia, ASEAN countries. So the other day I showed you, right? ASEAN countries are the heart of the trade war. ASEAN countries are too small to raise their voice. But if somebody is giving them enough power, everybody wants to trade with ASEAN countries. So if Indo-Pacific is okay, Europe has a access to Indo-Pacific. And colonial legacy, they have a lot of islands in Indo-Pacific region which are owned by them in one way or the other, or historical ties are there. So they can exploit all these ties to leverage the strength in Indo-Pacific region is one thing. So these are the major things. So again, not only from what militarization point of view, trade advantages, new frontiers, emerging technologies. Yes or no? So they have a lot of opportunity to take advantage of all these things. So that is why European Union is interested in Indo-Pacific region. But is China happy with this? This is one more interesting paragraph, right? So they don't want to directly tell how, but they want to create some ecosystem. What are the ecosystems? Green transition, ocean governance, digital governance. Security, defense, and human security. So in all these encompassing ways, European Union wants to enter the Indo-Pacific region. The advantages are manifold for everyone. So the more the trade that is happening in Indo-Pacific region, India can tap into all those energies also. So not only that, we have one more player with vested interest who wants to keep Indo-Pacific region safe and secure. Yes or no? If you see, let's imagine me as Indo-Pacific region. I'm India. To my left side is the entire dominating areas, right? ASEAN. Let's say this is ASEAN. This is the heart of everything. I'm India. This is ASEAN. This is heart of everything. USA wants to deal with ASEAN. European Union wants to deal with ASEAN. So when you are laying ways for either way, we are very closer. We can tap into these global supply chains. And who have a lot to lose?
China.
China has a lot to lose, or China can also use the same things.
But
How?
China has a lot to lose because it is already the major part of ASEAN trade is with China. So when these market forces enter, so Chinese products might face a competition. In that sense, I said China might lose, lose out there in this.
Okay. Or China might realize that I'm never going to dominate the Indo-Pacific region because of all these Western players, and China might keep tapping the
Yes, so that's a
traditional
possibility.
traditional businesses open, right? It can still do trade with. See, nobody in all our discussions, I have always told you, free and open trade. Even China is welcome as long as it does free and open trade. So the Indo-Pacific region have more players now who wants the region to be safe and secure. So what should India do? While all these players are protecting the Indo-Pacific region, we should make the most out of Atmanirbhar Bharat. When we have markets left, right, and center, it's common sense to create a product that we can export. Okay, we can export.
Who is losing also? That was the question you asked.
Hmm.
Who was
The most to lose. If we don't actually India,
yes.
if we don't do anything, it's actually India,
Yeah.
not China. Why? China has already established ties with ASEAN. China is dominating Asian market. China is dominating Australia. China is dominating South Korean trade, Japan trade. China is even having one belt, one road to Europe. So who has everything to lose? India. If we don't invest in Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes. But if we have Atmanirbhar Bharat, probably we can tap into all these supply chains and grow exponentially. It's a two-way street.
Yes.
So that's, I hope you understood the simple
Yes,
logic,
yes,
right?
yes.
ASEAN is the heart. So European Union wants to deal with ASEAN. ASEAN has a lot to export or import. It's still benefited for European Union. Everybody for themselves. Do we even need to discuss debacle of demonetization? No, right? Why? You are like outdated. Why? Demonetization is not a debacle.
It's a but
There is no point in discussing.
like
Post
we have
truth.
So we
discussed.
discussed.
We have discussed it,
So you're bored with the demonetization. Kind of.
Good, but it's like
Never.
they were like reinforcing that
Facts,
fact,
which we don't like.
not liking facts are to be like. Otherwise, it's difficult to
Digest or not. Lucky, right? We have a post-truth society.
that's unlikely. Actually.
We are not a post-truth society.
Of course, we are.
What are electoral bonds? What is the minimum of electoral bonds? What is the price of electoral bonds? There is no minimum amount. See, electoral bonds. Political party.
Parties.
Through designated banks. They are sold only in designated banks only during election times. The most important problem according to this infographic is electoral bonds were political parties are still saying that we don't know who is donating the money, and majority of the money is going to one political party, that is the ruling party. You can understand the transparency and accountability in political parties, right?
It's not far enough.
AIADMK is leading in the front. They have received 90 crores. Only 10% is less than unknown. So that's a good way to understand, right? So normally speaking, it's kind of old topic, but electoral bonds is an ongoing issue. It's a sub judice. Why it's sub judice?
It is in court.
So these are the issues that are important for India. What are the issues? Article 370, Citizenship Amendment Act, Farmers Bill, Sedition, and electoral bonds. So that is the importance of electoral bonds. Electoral bonds is doing exactly the opposite of what it is supposed to do. Okay, so there are a lot of problems with the electoral bonds in this particular country or that particular scheme. So Supreme Court has to take this very seriously. So you can connect this with that particular incident that we are still learning about electoral bonds.
So before electoral bonds were in place, could we even produce that info saying that this particular party has got
Yes.
Was it possible if it was parallel? They were funded through black money.
See again, it's innocence to believe that this has anything to do with the elections. This is purely for party administration. Earlier also I received money, okay, either in anonymous donations or through electoral funds. This is purely for BJP funds. This is nowhere or not even closer to election funds. Now the election cost in India is 97,000 crores or 70,000 crores depending on the year, right? So what does BJP do? BJP won't spend that kind of huge money, right? Every MLA and MP have an upper ceiling as per the Election Commissioner of India. But in reality, what will happen? Let's say you are a businessman. You will send 2 cars with full petrol every day. Is it accounted under BJP? No. But it is also adding to the cost of the election, right? So that is how the political parties work. If I spend officially from my account, I have to show. I have booked a helicopter for Prime Minister Modi election campaigning. That is BJP accounts. But if 1,000 cars are coming for BJP, that is not under BJP accounts. So this 900 crores won't even suffice the election campaigning of Amit Shah and Modi together. Yes or no? So it's a whole different scenario. Earlier also we used to know how much each and every political party got because they have to disclose their audit accounts. The source is we try to create an online mechanism and that went into so many other ways. Next, Kartarpur corridor. I hope all of you know. Kartarpur corridor, what is it? It is the first ever what we call as Gurudwara created by Guru Nanak Ji. It's in India-Pakistan border. It's actually in Pakistan, which is 4 kilometers away from Indian border. So Sikh pilgrims consider them as one of the most holiest shrines. But because it is in Pakistan, I have to go to Pakistan, then get the visa, then come and visit that thing. But I'm just 4 kilometers away from the border. So what did Indian government do and Pakistan government do? They have created a open corridor. Like they have created 4 kilometers of protected area. So you can enter, visit and come back to India without any visa. So that is Kartarpur corridor. And Pakistan army supported it, Indian army supported it. Everybody is doing that for the welfare of the Sikh pilgrims, right? For the religious purposes. There were some security threats, like it was used for Khalistan separatist movements and other issues were raised, but more or less we controlled all these things. Due to COVID pandemic, it was closed. It is one of the few examples of coordination between India and Pakistan on religious grounds. If you have interest, you can achieve anything. So that's one way to look at the things. Again, old news. Something interesting. No? Should we legalize marijuana in this country?
No, sir.
No. Why?
It's if it is illegal, illegal right now, there are also so many cases.
Hmm.
It will only
Proliferate.
exactly.
Exaggerate. Okay. Fine. It also have medicinal properties. Hmm. Some higher things, overdose. Luckily for marijuana, there is no overdose in marijuana, right? There is no overdose in marijuana. Let people destroy their lives. What will you do after 2030? Automation. You won't have any job.
Legalize it, legalize it, sir, get revenue.
Yes. Future potential bureaucrats, right? Yes. Sorry, 2030. After 2030, we will legalize it. Why? 2030 automation will be completed. 2032, chalo, okay, 2 more years. Okay. He has 3 factories which we don't know about. His factory is working on automation. So by 2032 we will have automation. After that people won't have any jobs. Yes or no? Then we will legalize marijuana. During Holi, we have something called as bhang. Where is it coming from? Bhang is nothing but ganja, right? Weed, marijuana, the same thing. So we are anyhow having a cultural significance also. Regulate crypto markets. So that is the best way forward. We should not kill the cryptocurrency market. We should regulate it. So the only takeaway from this particular article is cryptocurrency is $3 trillion economy. Indian economy is
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion. So cryptocurrency is as big as Indian economy. So rather than banning or creating a parallel economy, it's wiser to accept and regulate the cryptocurrency. Now, the simple thing is this: cryptocurrency have no intrinsic value, but people are investing their money. So stock market is also one kind of gambling, right? But at least they have intrinsic value. I know why I'm investing in Reliance or why I am investing in Kotak Mahindra Bank. But cryptocurrency, I don't have any inherent logic, no common sense whatsoever. Elon Musk tweeted, I will invest. Elon Musk tweeted again, I will sell. Okay, so my life is dependent on Elon Musk tweets. Hopeless, right? So that is why cryptocurrency has to be regulated is one argument. The other side is it will anyhow prevail. People will in one way or the other try to invest in cryptocurrencies. So it's better to encourage the ecosystem rather than stifle the ecosystem. This is also one Mainsworthy article. If you can focus on that, we'll examine the validity of special courts for MPs, MLAs, says Supreme Court. Tamil Nadu High Court has given a judgment saying special courts for MPs and MLAs are not so worth it. They are not in the proper legal order. There are already courts. These courts will create parallel judiciary. So that is an issue. Chief Justice of India has a pet project. The present Chief Justice of India have a pet project, that is fast track courts for criminalization of politicians or politicians with criminal cases. So he wants to start this revolution by fast tracking the cases against the MPs and MLAs. So there is also the Chief Justice of Madras issue going on, the transfer. You can connect so many dots if you want to connect, or you can just understand the core theme here is, should we have a dedicated fast track courts for MPs and MLAs? The core crux is in the red line. What is the red line saying?
Offense-centric and not offender-centric.
I can have special courts for POCSO, Protection of Children Against Sexual Offences Act. That is offense-centric.
Yes.
Yes or no? I can have dedicated fast track courts for offences, not for offender. Here offenders are MLAs and MPs. All MPs have rape cases? No. One have a case against corruption, one have murder, one have threat, one is kidnapping. Like this, different cases are pending against different MLAs and MPs. Wide variety, diversity in unity. Yes or no? No, we have diversity in unity. All are MLAs, but they have diversity. Yes. So we should not create codes for them. Yes or no? We can create a code for white collar crimes. Financial related crimes and such. So you will get rid of lot of MLAs and MPs, or you create a cases only for, let's say, murder. Again, you have to compete with a lot of the society. I hope you understand. But again, alternative dimension is what? They are the people's representative. They have a huge impact on the society. So they are special class of citizens. Yes or no? And above all, they are supposed to be above the suspicions.
Yes.
Yes or no? There is a idiom, right? Like Caesar's wife, you should always be above suspicion. In the same way, MLAs and MPs are supposed to be clean. That will create a cleaner society. If you go back to the ethics syllabus, morals are created from leaders. Leaders create a moral society. So if leaders are corrupting the morals, then the society's morals will also be corrupt. So it's justified for me to create a criminal centric or offender centric judiciary system to cleanse the or reinforce the moralities of the society. I can argue in that way also, right? Two things: offender centric and offensive centric. Normally speaking, we should create it for offense centric, but these are special exemptions. Anyhow, I think Supreme Court, we know the answer of the Supreme Court, right?
They want to
So criminalization of politics is a very important issue. Necessary funds, technology to clear its huge dependency. So again, Article 142 is to do complete justice, right? So here we are talking about infrastructure and backlogging of the cases, which will totally fall under the political domain or executive domain. Let's say I have to reform the criminal justice system. I have to bring everything in order. Investigation, maintenance, a lot of things have to be done. I think it's a costly thing, but working along with the executive is more fruitful for the judiciary rather than forcing the executive to do something. And most of the cases are related to land records or land issues, right? If you digitize all the land records in the country, that will create a better way for judiciary. And we are using artificial intelligence for clearing the backlogs in judiciary. So a lot of things are being done or implemented in the judiciary. So we will wait and see how things go. Again, I think this is personal pet project of Ramna. That's why things are moving in this particular direction. The front page article, right? So first, probably openly gay judge in India will be appointed as Delhi High Court judge. So that will be very progressive for the LGBTQ community. So it will also show that India is very inclusive, tolerant, and all these things. Urban factors not farm fires cause for pollution. So Supreme Court is saying only 10% of the pollution is coming from stubble burning. Okay, but there is an article in today's Hindustan Times. It technically shows wherever there is a rise in Delhi air pollution or there is a particulate matter rise, it is also coinciding with the rise of stubble burning. So stubble burning might be causing only 10% of Delhi's air pollution, but it is creating a huge amount of impact in relation to particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 2.5 and 10. Okay. Yes. right? Spike in farm fires coincide with rise in air quality index level. So can we assign a percentage like this is bad, this is good? It's empirical, right? It is clearly showing whenever there is a spike in stubble burning, it is automatically having an impact on air quality index in Delhi. So you don't need any more empirical data. It's very evident. This is how things are happening. So even if it's 10% pollution, where do we draw that line? Let's say you are breaking a stone. You have beaten it for 100 times. Is it the 100th blow that broke the stone,
No.
or the 99 before that? Was 97 useless? Is 98 useless? We can never differentiate, right? In the same way, I'm developing a respiratory problem, okay, because of particulate matter. So where did that particulate matter come from? Pollution, yes. Construction, yes. Stubble burning, yes. So we don't know which one contributed more to my health. It's a very subjective term. The best thing is we need to use the constitutional mechanisms in the country. All the states of this particular area has to come together and solve this serious problem. I'm reading this from 2010. I'm bored in 2021. From 11 years, I'm reading the same drama: air pollution, air pollution, air pollution. And once the winter is gone, nobody will even be bothered about air pollution. Next year, winter will come. Everybody is crying air pollution. Yes. Like Diwali, exactly like Diwali.
So how do you write this in answers?
Like they are useless. They have done lot of steps, right? Kejriwal has tried this odd even number plate system. Yes, graded action response plan is there. Smog towers have been installed. Moving towards electric vehicle policy. Delhi is the first state in the country to have, or first city in the country to have electric vehicle policy. Delhi vehicle policy 2020. So Delhi is trying a lot, and Delhi is also one of the first cities in the world to move towards LNG, liquid natural gas autos. So they have tried sincerely. They have metro. Okay, but the further cooperate, the states also have to cooperate. Every other state also has to cooperate. So that is what they are saying. We'll talk with states to curb pollution. Minister will have discussion with Central Pollution Control Board and ministers. What will they do? Drink inlay water and break some good day biscuits. After that, business as usual. There is no sincerity behind all these efforts. If there was sincerity, things would have been totally different. Yes.
Can you say political apathy of political executive?
See, that is exactly what government is arguing, right? They are trying to tell that stubble burnings don't have any impact on Delhi air pollution. But we have showed very clearly how it is impacting.
So maybe they are saying because they want to evade their responsibility.
That is why you are giving such ridiculous numbers, right? You are evading. We have to work. See, all these are long-term problems. We have to invest time, capital, and energy. People don't have time, capital, and energy. People in Delhi are not bothered. Okay, I will wear a mask. I wear 2 masks, and I will go on business as usual. If you are living in Delhi, you won't actually notice about air pollution. You are outside Delhi, you are bothered about this, right? If you are sitting in Delhi, you won't even consider about it. Yes, you will drive, you will do this. There's a lot of black soot in your eyes. Okay, and in the morning when you cough or something, you get the pollution out. Okay, day 2 start. You get used to it very quickly. It makes hardly any impact. It's not a political thing. See, and it's something that is very subtle, right? Let's say a road is blocked. You'll get anger one day or the other. Yes, air pollution, individualized. You're also breathing the same air, she's breathing the same air. None of us have any immediate ramification. 15-20 years down the line, you will develop a lung cancer or something. It's not anybody's problem, right? It's your problem. You will deal it at a individual level, and you cannot prove like I got this only because of air pollution. There can be 10,000 other reasons. So when the problem is individualized, everybody is bearing it on their own terms. There is no collective anger. And that is why systems are very happy to escape the same thing. Tell me, where is the State Pollution Control Board in Hyderabad? Do we have enough members? Is there any pollution in Hyderabad? What is air quality of index of Hyderabad today?
It's around 120. It's around 120.
Sure.
Yes, sir. It's because I saw in the morning city severe.
Is it severe?
No, no, it's not severe.
It's good only.
It's 124.
If you are not a
Around
UPSC,
124,
if you are not a UPSC aspirant, will you be opening that website? Yes or no? You get the point, right? Do we have pollution in Hyderabad?
Yes, we do.
We have a lot of pollution in Hyderabad also. It's not written in the newspapers. We are not discussing. We are blaming Delhi, but we also have air pollution in Hyderabad. So what are you doing about it? If you stand in Tilak Nagar X roads for 10 minutes, you will inhale all the dust for a lifetime. No idea. Who is it?
You know who is the master studio?
My GK is okay. I am not that knowledgeable. So
So in the Japanese article,
jackfruit article, I don't see the relevance. Once it becomes something popular, let's say they have given a heritage status, probably we can say it's important.
So today is Indian Express around Myra has
Hmm.
It have to involve the local communities.
Hmm.
It's not the
Grassland.
it's not the people at top who will do this.
Eleanor Ostrom. See, every time you hear about all these local solutions, you have to remember one name, that is Eleanor Ostrom. Yes or no? Eleanor Ostrom. See, prelims question, worst case scenario. Australia won against which country? New Zealand. I don't know. They might not ask you any sports related question next year. And Hindu has recently started this new thing, just explained column. Just like Indian Express, they have started the explainer column. So they have an article on building the S-400 defense system. It's outdated, but anyhow, if you don't know the basics, you can read the basics. What is S-400? So I think somebody told, some UPSC aspirant must have messaged Hindu team. We are moving towards Indian Express. They have explained articles. The Hindu took it to ego. Why not me? They have started. Yes. If you see Hindu website also, they started this daily quiz.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Bakwas questions, right? Good questions.
few are good.
Yes, sir.
Only few, okay. So again, they must not be prepared in UPSC in mind, right? They must be prepared for general audience rather than for UPSC aspirant. That's it. Any questions? So I think mains, these kind of questions are important for mains. Facts, value addition points. Any questions? Spun Cities video. Okay, I will end the session here. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow.